Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The question comes in how to manage the house as a woman. Now, of course, some sisters already have issues with this topic anyway. And we've seen many, not all, of course, but many have been getting very angry when we talk about this issue of women taking care of the house and so on. And they say it's not our fard, we don't have to, we want to go out, we want to do our things. And I've given the evidence against that, how, there has to be obedience to the husband, there has to be priority to the household. And this is something that's been around for thousands, 1,000+ years, is not something that needs to be refuted, even though some people might bring certain opinions. But when you look at the thaqaf or the culture of the Sahaba, of the people of Medina, the people after them, you will find in the end that it is a priority for women to take care of the house, as per the hadith of the Ra'i. The Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّكُمْ رَعِي وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْعُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ وَالْمَرْأَةِ, and the woman, هي مسؤولة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام في بيت زوج. She is responsible in the house of her husband, or كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, or as the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith. So we understand that there's a huge push from the feminist movement, and our sisters, some of them, not all of them of course, have fallen into this discourse, this debate, whether, no, I don't want to do anything for the house, I don't want to take care of the house, why do I have to take care of the house, why can't I just do what I have to do? My father spent so much money for me to go and get educated, now you tell me to stay home, this and that. You got guys making TikTok videos saying, hey, if you don't like this kind of woman, then why are you marrying her? Or why do you her father spent so much money, or she spent 5 years of her life studying, and now you're telling her to stay home. I'm like, I don't know. Then everyone has to be careful when they get married to pick the woman that they want, that is going to match their objectives and what they want. Like, if you want to be a guy whose wife is going to be out there mixing with everyone, obviously that's another issue of, hijab and what kind of hijab. Women are already fighting for different types of hijab now, whether you call it hijab or you can call it hijab or not, that can be quite debated. So there's that issue. And, staying outside 8 to 10 hours a day, coming home, having to, be tired, intimacy suffers, children suffer, they're put in daycare, they're put in with maids. And if you want to choose that type of lifestyle, then you got to vet your future wife or husband in that way, and then you're going to deal with the consequences of that, right? So that is, hey, it's your issue. You take that up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has told us what we have to do. The Prophet ﷺ has showed us what we have to do. He has responded. He has told us where the best thing, or what the best thing for a woman is. What is the shortcut towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards Jannah, right? He has told us that she can pick whatever gates of Jannah she wants. Allah has made it very clear. There's actually, I don't know why people debate over this. However, of course, Islam means submission. If you want to submit, you submit. If you don't want to submit, then, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah doesn't burden a soul more they can bear. That's one thing. But a second thing is that لا إكراه في الدين. There is no compulsion. If people want to submit, people submit. People don't want to submit, people don't submit. I mean, that's the whole thing. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, if He wanted to, He could have made everyone be guided. So people have to choose. That is the test of Bani and Banat Adam, the sons and daughters of Adam, that we choose. We have the choice. So for me, I've been advocating for women to stay home as a priority. Not like, oh my God, it's like they're so bad, or we men are so, we just want to get our own ways. No, it's an issue of priorities. Now, does that mean women should not be educated or learn? There are many evidence that women were educated. Aisha was one of the greatest faqihs, or the greatest scholars of Islam, one of the. But compared to the overwhelming majority of men, women were always a small minority when it comes to being out. Sometimes people, women will bring up, oh, but there was like soldiers. With all due respect, if you look at the evidence, a few who were not soldiers necessarily, but maybe they're on the battlefield, like I think it was Nusayba, and so on. And of course they mentioned Khadija. Always Khadija was, 9 things you didn't know about Khadija. She was this, businesswoman, her own boss, hired the Prophet ﷺ, but then they never mentioned the 10th thing, that is that she stayed at home and she hired the Prophet ﷺ to go. She didn't go herself, right? So, of course, then Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the example of Maryam, and we look at Maryam and her story, what was her dedication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, of course, in a culture and society where everyone is pushed, come on, go, compete, go out, prove yourself, be there, all over. You have to compete with men. You have to be like men, be better than men. It is very difficult for a woman. Women get confused, sisters message, and they say, we want to be good Muslims, but we don't know. Look what our sheikhs are saying, the ladies who are pushing for this kind of movement. And there are quite a few. Empowerment of women, you keep hearing that. It's like Islam didn't empower them, right? There's a lot of this discourse. There's a lot of new terminologies that's being used. And of course, it is very attractive to our young sisters. It is very attractive. And especially if they've dealt, or if they had a negative experience in their lives, maybe with not such a good man, that it feels almost reactionary, like they should be out there, like they lost something, like they lost time, they lost opportunities. And the propaganda is quite strong. So it is very, very inciting for them to go out there and forget their priorities, but also I call them the shortcuts. Because the Prophet ﷺ said very clear, for any woman who wants to go to Jannah, any woman, she just does her fard, meaning no extra nawafil, no extra sunnah prayers, no extra nothing. Literally, you pray 5 times a day, you fast Ramadan if you can. If you have your menses, then you make it up. And then if you can Hajj, you can, inshallah. If you can pay zakat, can. But if you cannot, cannot. So even those 2, if you cannot, you don't, you believe in Allah and His Messenger, of course. And you pray, you fast. And you obey your husband, he said, the Prophet ﷺ. And then you choose whichever gate of Jannah you want, like literally whichever gate of Jannah you want, subhanAllah, right? So it's beautiful. Of course, we always say that the man is a good man, the husband is a righteous man that should be obeyed, and not some not so nice guy who doesn't pray and doesn't practice, and maybe he is contradictory, maybe hypocrite in some of his behavior and so on. And when I mean hypocrite, not like munafiq, as in like, it's just not istilahi, just lugha, by language. So, of course, it is very appealing for sisters. But for the ones who choose to be with the husband who wants them to stay home, to take care of the family. And when I say take care of the house, a lot of people misunderstand. They think it's just like this woman on her floor, just wiping the floor all the time, just, I don't know, milking the cow or something, and, wiping the windows and chasing lizards out of the house and cutting chickens' heads or something and cooking all the time. And I think maybe people get that. No, I'm not saying it's about taking care of a family, actually. It's about taking care of a household, not physically as just wiping dust off the tables, but it's about taking care of a household, about establishing a nurturing environment for the next generation, those children. And if a woman doesn't have children, then of course, with the permission of her husband and agreement, maybe she'll fulfill the fard kifaya of the community, where there's women who are needed in certain jobs. And fard kifaya means that the community has to provide a certain service, and if there's not at least a few people in those services, then the whole community is sinful. Understand? So for example, a female gynecologist, or sometimes a female teacher, or sometimes, depends, certain specific jobs that are only for those, that will be a fard kifaya. And if the community doesn't train that, invest in that, then the whole community would be maybe sinful. So in that case, maybe the woman doesn't have children, cannot. قدر الله ما شاء. So she will do what she has to do. For Aisha didn't have children. So she was a great scholar. She taught some of the Sahaba. She did not have children, right? Khadija had children. So we see the difference, right? But we see a growing culture where, let's say, these women who understand what I'm saying, and they take the hadith and they say, okay, we're not going to follow some philosophical interpretation that is based on some Greek philosophy type of approach of certain Fulan and Fulan Sheikh who changed his opinion in the past 10 years from north to south. Because it fits demand supply, it fits the culture that we live in. Maybe there's some sisters who say, I don't want that. And she says, I want a man who follows Quran and Sunnah according to the correct understanding of the Sahaba and literal interpretation. He says, you know what, I understand and I believe and I'll stay home. But we don't have teaching for women on how to run their place. It's not like you can take a course for like how to be a good wife or how to be a housewife, right? It's like very few. There's a movement in the States right now called trad wives, and they get so much heat. But if you want to have women empowerment, feminist movement, LGBTQ, whatever, history or empowerment, you'll find it in universities everywhere. You might get a culinary course like how to cook and this and that, and that's a certain different thing. It's for being having a job. So that you get. But there's no course where our women can like learn how to be good wives in terms of how to do parenting properly. Parenting might be courses just separate, just parenting. And a lot of these parenting courses, you find that they don't talk about women focusing on staying at home and spending the time. They give this theory of, okay, do this and do that, set boundaries. Yeah, but what about the time spent with the children? Oh yeah, time spent. Yeah, it's important. Like weekend and stuff like that. No, it's like, dude, 10 hours you're missing in action, come home, you're tired. You're not going to give your child your heart and soul, isn't it? So there is no culture that really is there. So I advise mothers from today to wake up. Maybe you haven't learned it, but you can take now courses. You can start doing a research. You can gather with other sisters who believe in a literal interpretation of the ahadith that I mentioned, and there's many more. And then you guys build the community. And then you start putting out courses there for your daughters. You start training the next generation to feel proud to be nurturers, to feel proud to nurture human souls, to feel proud in what they do, to feel proud to be able to choose one of the gates of Jannah to enter, to feel proud and not be pulled by this movement that has caused so much damage to this ummah. Yet, sadly, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat from sisters saying that I'm misogynist, these terminologies, these labels. And I think it doesn't bother me, but it's just sad that we are losing our women. Because if you ask them, okay, give me a proof for what you believe or what you are doing, and look at the outcomes of your choices in life. Are you happy? And we find that once they reach their 40, 45, they're going to say, I'm not happy. I think if they have the sincerity to recognize that, and many have. I just saw one article. It was a lady, a famous lady from a TV show from back in the days, something in the city. She was quite popular. Now she's 45 and she says, I regret having this career and not having children and not being more of a mother. SubhanAllah, you can search it. And many others. People are waking up. So, but it is too late sometimes. It is too late. So for the sisters who want to follow, get together, build your communities. One can teach cooking, one can teach this, cleaning, one can teach about parenting, one can teach about many things, how to treat your husband. Everyone has different skills. Oh, brother, it's all about the husband, right? We're just focusing on this right now. We've talked about the husbands treating wives in other videos as well. So today's video is just about that. Is there a culture or an opportunity for women who want to learn how to be good wives, how to be housewives? Is that there? It's a shame for people to even say the word housewife today, sadly. So that's what I'm asking. And if there isn't, I think it's on you, my sisters, to start building that system and that culture and that community, to teach your daughters, the next generation, to be proud of it, to love it, and to do it properly. And inshallah, whatever door of Jannah you want to take, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. Don't forget to subscribe and help this dawah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.